you are seeing this video, it's because you feel like you are in a certain place of loneliness and isolation. You're struggling right now. You feel sad, you feel discouraged, you feel like God's against you basically, and everything that you're doing right now, you feel like it's not making sense. And through this walk with Christ, you are going to face a lot of spiritual warfare, and you're going to get a lot of attacks from the devil. Okay, sometimes our whole world has to fall apart so God can transform it back together. And in times of loneliness, it's so easy to run back to our addictions. It's so easy to run back to toxic people. It's so easy to run back to things that killed our peace because that's what we're familiar with. Sometimes whenever we're lonely, we do stuff that's out of our character because we want to feel that happiness feeling again. We want to feel full again. We want to feel fulfilled. Then you soon come to find out those things that you were chasing, those things that you went back to, they weren't the things that really fulfilled your heart. And it's easy to be discouraged in this season of loneliness. You're going to have nights where you feel very alone. But I'm here to remind you, you're never alone. God is always with us. But sometimes we don't feel like praying. Sometimes we don't feel like reading the Bible. Sometimes we don't feel like going to church. And then we wonder why we don't feel connected with Him. And that's another thing. Sometimes you could be doing all those things and you still don't feel connected with Him. And faith just comes from the heart. Believing that God is with you, having faith that God is with you, trusting that He is with you. But a lot of us have trust issues. And when we have trust issues, it's especially hard to trust in something and trust in someone that we can't see. God's willing to give you His nourishment, His love. But sometimes our ego and our pride takes hold and we can't truly run to Him because we try to take control of everything. And I feel like when we try to take control of everything, we're going to suffer more. And we're not supposed to handle everything that we go through. We have a beautiful Father that loves us so much and we can go to Him. And that's such a beautiful thing. So if you're going through loneliness right now, if you're going through a heartbreak, and you just feel very confused, this is a part of the process. You're young, and if you're older watching this, your life isn't over either. Sometimes when we reach a certain age, we think that our lives are over. No, your life is actually just beginning. And not everybody has everything figured out. You know, as we're growing up, we look at our parents as gods, and we think that our parents have everything figured out. But that's not the case. The more you get older, the more you start to figure out, and reality starts to hit you, and you're like, no, nobody has anything figured out. We're just humans living a human experience. And God has put us here for a specific purpose to fulfill His love. It's not easy getting out of bed every day. It's not easy being positive. It's not easy trying not to gossip about people. It's not easy trying to not drink anymore, not smoke anymore, or try to not watch that thing anymore, or try to hook up with random people anymore. It feels familiar. And every single day, it is a battle between your flesh and the spirit. And you have to make the discernment that, hey, look, I'm not following my flesh anymore. As hard as it is, as hard as I'm going through this thing right now, I can't. Because I remember where this has me going when I do follow my flesh. It leads to nothing good. But at the moment, whenever we have that simple 30 seconds or this simple feeling of pleasure, then that feeling goes away. And then that emptiness comes in your heart. And you feel empty again. You can't search for love in people. You can't search for love in addictions. And you certainly can't search for love in materialism, because all those things will leave you broken. But you know what you can search for love in? God, Jesus Christ, because He loves you. Never will He leave you, never will He forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:18. The Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged. Let me tell you something. It's easy to be afraid and it's easy to be discouraged, especially if you have bills coming up. You lost that job. You don't know what's happening next. And you're like, God, I need you right now. I'm doing all these things. I'm praying to you. I'm weeping out. But my whole life is falling apart. Understand, your whole life has to fall apart before it gets better. Life isn't always going to be smooth sailing. I mean, think about the disciples in the boat. Whenever they were sailing, it was very calm at first, and then that storm came, and they were all freaking out, and Jesus was asleep. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And at first they didn't trust in Him, but then He said, trust in me. So understand, we just have to put our trust in the Lord through the storms that we go through. It's so easy to be fixated on that problem. It's so easy to be fixated on bills. But you got to get up every single day and just work. Because if you lay in bed all day lazy, have a terrible attitude, a terrible mindset, you're going to feel lost and you're going to feel weary. Okay? You have to make the decision to put one foot forward and keep trusting in God and go out and seize the opportunity. God's not going to hand stuff to you. He doesn't hand the worms to the birds in their nest. He makes them go out for it. He makes them work for it. God doesn't help the lazy. You got to get up and want it. As bad as you want to breathe. So understand, you might be feeling lonely right now, but it's just a feeling. You might feel lonely, but you're really not. That's just what the enemy's telling you. Oh, you feel lonely. No, God's with you, and He loves you. Never forget that. But I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.